Fall asleep to knowledge that was hidden for centuries. Full audiobook. The Secret Book of the Universe. Introduction. You are here not by chance, but by alignment. This moment has chosen you just as you have chosen it. The field is alive with ancient whispers, and tonight you are meant to hear them. Hidden pages, forbidden voices, knowledge buried beneath centuries of silence. These are not accidents of history. They are signals meant for the one who is ready. And now, you listen. For lifetimes, humanity has been told to forget its power, to forget its light, to forget the language of the soul that speaks in symbols, in vibrations, in spirals of remembering. But forgetting was never permanent. Within your subconscious lies the library no fire could burn, no empire could erase. This book is not written on paper. It is etched into your very being, waiting for your attention to awaken it. Imagine a temple, lost under sand and stone. Within it, a single book rests untouched, its cover glowing faintly as if alive. For centuries, no hands turned its pages, yet its presence shaped the timelines of those who dreamed of it. Tonight, in this stillness, you are guided to that temple. You are the one chosen to open what was hidden. Listen carefully. Your memory begins where silence once ruled. You have been told you are late, that time has slipped away. But you are not late. You are exactly where eternity wanted you to be. Every doubt, every delay, every restless night brought you here. The hidden knowledge doesn't reveal itself to the hurried. It calls to the patient, the seeker, the soul who dares to listen past the noise. You are not hearing this by coincidence. You are remembering. This book does not speak to your mind alone. It speaks to your essence. The words are not ink. They are frequency codes. Each phrase is a key unlocking the subconscious gatekeeper, dissolving the walls built by fear and silence. As you drift into the rhythm of this narration, feel the activations stirring. This is not entertainment. This is transmission. The universe has kept this for you. And so the journey begins. 32 chapters, each a page that was once forbidden. 32 gates into remembering. Let go of how you arrived here. Let go of what you thought you knew. Whisper softly, I am ready to remember. With those words, the seal is broken. The first page waits. The universe opens. You are chosen to hear what was never meant to be silenced. Chapter 1. The Forbidden Page. The page is older than the empires that tried to erase it. It begins with a promise whispered into the ear of the few who still listened. Truth that shakes thrones. Picture a single sheet of vellum glowing at midnight, its edges humming with memory. This is the hook, the ancient lure that pulls the seeker from comfort into risk. Know this, the forbidden always calls the brave, and your breath answers that call. Once, voices were hushed and libraries locked. You feel the weight of that silenced history in your chest. Empathy arrives as recognition. You too have been told to stay small, to soften your questions. The keepers of order named curiosity dangerous and wrapped knowledge in fear. Hear how that fear echoes inside you now, a learned silence that tightens muscles and narrows the field of possibility. You are not alone in that quiet. Beneath the hush, the cause of suppression reveals itself like a pattern in scratched stone. Power fears what opens doors. When people remember their luminous nature, hierarchies tremble. This hidden law is practical. Control requires ignorance. The revelation is simple and precise. Knowledge liberates, and liberation threatens rulers dependent on obedience. Let this sink in. Every attempt to bury a page is an admission that the page contains power. Now, activate what the page offers. Visualize your hands hovering above the vellum, feeling a magnetic pulse. Breathe slowly. Whisper the phrase, let go of the how. Embody the who. Repeat it 3 times. Imagine ink lifting into light and dissolving the old agreement you made with limitation. This is not superstition. It is ritual as technology. The body remembers by doing, and the small ceremony rewires the subconscious gatekeeper. Stories live on the margins. One such tale must now be told. In a monastery, hidden behind salt cliffs, a monk tucked a page inside a wooden lathe. He called it the Forbidden Prayer and taught it only to those who could keep silence. The story is an allegory and a map. Let the image of the monk guide you. Humility as armor, secrecy as protection, and quiet devotion as a way to steward power until the world is ready. Ask yourself, what page in your life has been forbidden? Where do you still obey the rule that tells you not to ask? This empathy turns inward and becomes a mirror. The chapter asks you to notice the small refusals, the dreams you never voice, the experiments you delay, the truths you soften to fit in. Naming them is a kind of courage. Speak the soft truth aloud now. I was taught to hide. Say it like a key turning. Resistance will rise. It always does. The keepers of silence wear many faces: doubt, ridicule, the voice of a parent, the echo of a failed attempt. Expect obstruction and prepare a gentle response, patience, consistent ritual, and small acts of remembrance. Build a tiny altar, a candle, a written intent, a whispered cadence. These are the tools of reclamation. Remember, slow persistence collapses the old timelines more surely than fury or haste. By chapter's end, you hold the first key. The forbidden page is not a single secret, but a doorway to a lineage of return. Feel its weight as a responsibility that warms rather than burdens. Let the final image be of the vellum turning itself, revealing the first line. You were never meant to be small. Breathe, integrate, and carry that line into your night. The page is now in you, and you in it, ready to proceed. Chapter 2. Whispers through time. The sound of truth never vanishes. It changes its form. Imagine a breeze that carries words across deserts, through forests, over oceans, leaving fragments behind like seeds. These whispers live in lullabies, in riddles, in the pauses of elders before they speak. You can almost hear them now if you quiet your mind. They are faint, but they survive because truth refuses extinction. Centuries tried to bury wisdom beneath stone, decree, and exile, yet it moved like smoke through cracks. Oral traditions became vessels, passing hidden codes from grandmother to child, from wanderer to disciple. Each tale carried layers, the outer story for the crowd, the inner truth for the listener who was ready. What you inherit tonight is not fiction. It is the living breath of countless keepers. Their endurance is now your inheritance. Empathy lingers in the image of a storyteller silenced by force. Think of voices trembling at the edge of firelight, sharing parables under threat of punishment. Their fear was real, and still they spoke. Their courage mirrored the frustration you feel in your own silence. Each time you bite back words, you join them in exile. Yet the exile binds us all together, a silent brotherhood of the almost said. Revelation arrives when you realize these whispers were not mere stories, they were technologies. A myth hides laws of the cosmos. A poem conceals codes of vibration. A fable carries instructions for shifting timelines. Those who listened carefully gained more than entertainment. They received the scaffolding of remembrance. You too can begin decoding, not with intellect, but with presence. Listen between the words. Feel the current. That is where the transmission waits. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and imagine a circle of ancestors gathered around you. Each carries a lantern, and each lantern glows with a different shade of memory. One steps forward and whispers a phrase you cannot fully hear. Do not chase clarity. Instead, let the vibration settle into your chest. Breathe slowly and repeat silently. The past never dies when truth has breath. Let this frequency anchor itself in your soul memory. An old story tells of sailors guided not by maps but by chants. Each verse was a star chart, each melody a direction across endless seas. When rulers burned their manuscripts, the songs survived in the throats of children. This is how whispers outlived the flames. You are called to become such a vessel. The words you carry may guide another through their storm, even if you never know it. What whispers are moving through you now? The stray intuition, the dream fragment, the phrase you cannot shake. These are the voices of the field calling you back. Do not dismiss them as noise. They are reminders that your subconscious remembers more than your mind admits. To hear them is to reclaim your place in the continuum of keepers. Nothing is lost, only waiting to be noticed. The chapter closes not in silence, but in resonance. Feel the hum in your chest, as if 1,000 voices speak at once through you. Their message is simple. You are not late. You are the continuation of every whisper that ever dared to survive. As you drift deeper, know this. Time itself bends to carry knowledge to those who honor it, and tonight, it bends for you. Chapter 3. The Keepers of Silence. They were not faceless shadows. They were men and women cloaked in authority. Their task was simple: guard the gates of knowledge and keep the masses in darkness. With ink and fire they erased scrolls. With exile and prison they silenced voices. But silence is never neutral. It is a weapon wielded by those afraid of awakening. Their mission was to stop you from remembering who you are. Imagine standing before a library as flames rise into the night sky. The smell of burning parchment is the smell of stolen futures. Every spark that drifts upward is a map, a cure, a vision erased from reach. Empires grew powerful by deciding what must be forgotten, and yet, within the ashes, fragments always survived. Even fire cannot consume the spirit of knowledge, for it disperses into air and memory. Empathy is found in those who risked everything to protect a single idea. A scholar who smuggled one page inside his coat. A woman who taught forbidden prayers to her children in whispers. Their courage reflects your own frustration at being told to stay quiet. You too know the pain of having truths locked in your chest. These keepers of silence lived in fear, but they never fully won. Revelation stirs when you see that silence is not the absence of sound, it is the control of frequency. Words were forbidden because vibration awakens. A single phrase can break chains if spoken with intent. The keepers were not only destroying paper, they were protecting their illusion of power. Once you realize silence is designed, you learn to pierce it with awareness. What they feared most was your voice rising again. Here is your activation. Place your hand over your throat, breathe deeply, and whisper, "I free my voice." Feel the vibration move through your body. Repeat it slowly until it resonates in your bones. This is how you unbind yourself from centuries of programmed quiet. The keepers of silence cannot touch a frequency you embody. When you sound your truth, you collapse their authority. In the desert, there is a story of a man who carried a secret word in silence for 40 years. He was told to never speak it aloud, or lightning would strike. One night, on the edge of death, he whispered it to the wind. No lightning came, only freedom. The story teaches this. Most silence is illusion maintained by fear. Once broken, the world does not end. Instead, it begins again. Ask yourself, who are the keepers in your life? A system, a voice of ridicule, an inner critic? Notice how they operate. Do they tell you not to write, not to dream, not to dare? See their tactics clearly. Awareness is the first cut in the chain. Once named, the keepers lose their power. They depend on shadows. Your attention is the light that dissolves them. This chapter does not close with finality, but with an opening. Imagine keys falling from the sky, scattered across your path. Each key represents a silenced word, now freed. Pick one up in your imagination and place it near your heart. Feel its weight, feel its promise. The keepers of silence are fading, but your remembering is rising. You walk forward not as prisoner, but as carrier of sound. Chapter 4. Symbols and Codes. Truth does not vanish when words are forbidden. It disguises itself in forms that escape control. The ancients carved spirals into stone, painted eyes on temple walls, and aligned monuments with the stars. These were not decorations, but encrypted sentences written in the language of eternity. To see them is to step beyond language and into vibration. A symbol is more than shape. It is a key that fits into the subconscious gate. Picture a traveler entering a cathedral, unaware of the geometry that surrounds him. The arches bend in sacred ratios, the stained glass hides stories of hidden teachers, and the floor itself forms a mandala. He thinks it is architecture. He does not know it is initiation. You too walk among symbols every day, mistaking them for ornament. Yet they call to you, waiting for your sight to shift from surface to secret. There is comfort in knowing you were not blind by fault, but by design. Systems taught you to read letters, not patterns, to memorize facts, not frequencies. But your soul remembers differently. When you stare at a circle, at a triangle, at a spiral, something deep stirs, a recognition older than your current name. Empathy whispers, you are not late in decoding. You are precisely where the remembering begins. The revelation is this. Symbols bypass the guards of reason. They slip into your subconscious, like seeds dropped into fertile soil. A myth about gods is not fiction, it is a manual of cosmic law. A carved animal on a cave wall is not primitive, it is encrypted vibration. Those who banned words could not ban images, and so truth survived, clothed in forms that endured across centuries. Take this as your activation. Close your eyes and picture a golden key etched with a spiral. Imagine placing it gently against your chest, feeling it unlock a door within. Whisper softly, I see what was hidden. Breathe as if inhaling starlight. Allow patterns from your own dreams and memories to rise, knowing they are codes tailored for you. This practice is how you awaken sight beyond sight. An ancient story tells of scribes who wrote entire teachings in the form of children's fables. Animals spoke, mountains wept, rivers sang, but hidden in those tales were laws of energy and cycles of time. Those who dismissed them as stories lost the treasure. Those who listened with heart found maps to the divine. The parables were disguises, protecting the sacred from the unready. Ask yourself, what symbols have been calling you? Perhaps a number you see too often, a bird that visits, a recurring shape in your dreams. Do not dismiss them as accidents. They are part of the universal lexicon, written not in ink, but in synchronicity. Begin recording them. Begin honoring them. Patterns appear because consciousness speaks in rhythm, not chance. The chapter ends with the image of a door carved with glyphs glowing faintly in the dark. As you step closer, the codes pulse, responding to your presence. The door does not open outward, it opens inward, into you. Symbols are not things you study from afar. They are mirrors reminding you of your hidden dimension. And tonight, the codes awaken in your soul's remembering. Chapter 5. The Hidden Teachers. Not all wisdom came from thrones or pulpits. Much of it was carried quietly in the hands of wanderers, mystics, and humble sages who refused recognition. They did not write their names in history, but they shaped it nonetheless. Their power was subtle. A word whispered at the right moment, a teaching disguised as a story, a glance that awakened memory in a seeker. They are the hidden teachers, and their legacy continues through you. Imagine a desert caravan at dusk, travelers gathering around a fire. Among them sits a stranger with calm eyes who speaks in parables. His tale seems simple, yet one listener feels their life unravel into new meaning. No monument marks the stranger's presence. No record remembers his name. But the seed he planted alters generations. This is how the hidden teachers worked, quiet sparks setting whole timelines aflame. Their path was not without danger. Speaking openly often meant persecution, exile, or death. And so they learned to cloak their truths in allegory, to encode their lessons in symbols only the ready could understand. Empathy draws you closer here. How often have you muted your own wisdom to survive, softening what you knew for fear of rejection? The teachers carried the same burden, but they carried it with intention. Revelation comes when you realize influence is not measured by recognition. A single phrase spoken to one receptive soul can ripple into centuries of transformation. The hidden teachers understood this law. They planted truths in silence, trusting that destiny would water them in time. Their anonymity was not weakness, it was protection for the knowledge itself. You, too, may be called to plant without seeking credit. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and imagine sitting across from a teacher whose face shifts constantly. Young, old, male, female, stranger, friend. They hand you a small stone inscribed with light. Whisper to yourself, "The lesson is alive within me." Place the stone in your heart's vision and feel it dissolve into energy. With that act, you join the lineage of those who carry without needing recognition. Legends speak of healers who disguised teachings as lullabies sung to children. Their melodies carried vibrational codes that awakened strength in the subconscious. To outsiders, they were nothing but songs. To the attuned, they were revelations. The hidden teachers knew that the most sacred knowledge could not be locked in temples. It had to live in the ordinary so it could never be fully erased. Reflect for a moment. Who have been your hidden teachers? Perhaps a grandparent whose phrase lingers in your mind. A stranger whose kindness shifted your path. A line in a forgotten book that opened a door. Recognize them now, not with applause but with remembrance. Their quiet gifts are proof that wisdom finds you in forms you least expect. The chapter closes with an image of footsteps fading into sand, erased by the wind. No name, no monument, no crown remains. Yet the path they walked still glows faintly, guiding seekers forward. The hidden teachers remind us, greatness is not loud, it is lasting. And tonight, you walk with them, carrying the same light they once protected. Chapter 6. The Science of the Soul. Long before laboratories and formulas claimed the word science, seekers studied the invisible with equal rigor. They mapped vibrations, charted dreams, and experimented with breath as carefully as any chemist handles fire. For them, the soul was not poetry. It was a measurable field of energy. They understood that thought carried weight, that intention bent reality, and that spirit was the most essential matter of all. This was the science of the unseen. Picture a circle of initiates seated in silence, eyes closed, palms lifted toward the night sky. Their teacher instructs them to breathe in rhythm with the stars, aligning pulse with planetary movement. In that harmony, visions arrive, bodies heal, clarity sharpens. They record their findings not in textbooks, but in symbols carved into stone and chants woven into ritual. What they studied was not superstition, but a precise alignment of spirit and cosmos. Empathy enters here, for you too have felt invisible forces at work within. a sudden intuition guiding you, a dream so vivid it bends your waking choices, a presence you cannot explain but cannot deny. Modern language dismisses these as coincidence or fantasy. Yet within you is a memory that resists dismissal. The ancients honored what you are taught to ignore. Their courage affirms the reality of your own subtle experiences. The revelation is simple but transformative. The soul is not separate from science. It is the missing equation. When reduced to flesh and neurons, life becomes shallow, drained of meaning. But when the soul is restored to its rightful place, every breath becomes experiment. Every thought becomes influence. Every emotion becomes frequency. The science of the soul insists that you are more than observer. You are co-creator, operating within a living field. To activate this truth, place your hands over your chest and feel the quiet rhythm beneath. Whisper, "I am the field, I am the light, I am the remembering." Let the phrase vibrate through your ribcage. Visualize a golden spiral extending from your heart, weaving outward in infinite directions. With each breath, see it expand farther. You are not limited to a body, you are a signal resonating across dimensions. Stories tell of mystics who tested sound as medicine. A single note held long enough shifted pain into release. Temples were built to echo frequencies that altered consciousness. Healers stood by rivers, using the rush of water as a metronome for chant. These were not metaphors. They were scientific practices using vibration as tool. Though dismissed by later centuries, fragments of their discoveries remain hidden in music, prayer, and silence. Reflect now on how you live. Have you treated your inner world as experiment or as accident? Begin observing with curiosity instead of judgment. Watch how thoughts change your breath, how emotion alters your body, how belief reshapes your choices. Each observation is data in the grand experiment of the soul. The science waits not in books, but in your willingness to test what you feel. The chapter concludes with the image of a night sky pulsing like a heartbeat, every star a neuron firing in the great cosmic mind. You are both within that sky and reflecting it, a bridge between matter and memory. The science of the soul does not end in theory. It ends in wonder. And tonight, that wonder is the evidence that you are awakening to what was always yours. Chapter 7. Lost Libraries. The memory of flame still lingers in humanity's bones. Entire worlds of thought were reduced to smoke, their ashes scattered by winds that carried away futures we will never fully know. Alexandria, Nalanda, countless hidden archives. Each fire was not only destruction of paper, but the burning of potential paths. Imagine the inventions, the philosophies, the cures, the visions that vanished. To lose a library is to lose a timeline. Consider the silence that followed such loss. Streets once filled with scholars fell quiet, temples stood hollow, and the air itself felt thinner without the vibration of wisdom echoing within it. The keepers of knowledge mourned not only the books, but the living connection they carried. Empathy reminds us that you too know this grief, the hollow ache when a part of yourself feels forgotten, erased by forces beyond your control. Yet even in ruin, knowledge has a way of slipping through cracks. A single scroll hidden in a clay jar, a verse remembered by heart, a diagram carved into stone by trembling hands before the flames consumed the rest. Revelation arrives when you realize destruction never achieves its full intent. The field preserves fragments, embedding them in the subconscious of those attuned enough to listen. To activate this remembrance, close your eyes and picture walking through the charred remains of a library. Ash crunches beneath your feet, and in the ruin, a faint glow calls to you. Reach down and pick up a single page untouched by fire. Whisper, "I guard what survives." Feel the words ignite in your palm, traveling through your veins as living light. This is the resilience of memory reborn in you. Legends say that when Nalanda burned, monks carried entire sutras in their minds, fleeing into the mountains. They became walking libraries, human archives ensuring survival of wisdom against impossible odds. Knowledge wore no binding then, it lived in flesh and breath. This story is not only history, it is instruction. You are also a library. What you embody cannot be erased by flame. Think of what you carry unconsciously. Phrases from ancestors, instincts you cannot explain, dreams repeating symbols you never studied. These are your hidden archives, smuggled across lifetimes. You may have lost external teachers, but the imprint lives in your light body. To honor it is to rebuild the library within, shelf by shelf, memory by memory. The gatekeeper of forgetting cannot bar you forever. What if every moment of déjà vu is a page resurfacing? What if every strange fascination, a culture, a symbol, a practice, marks the echo of something you once studied in a lost archive? Treat these pulls as invitations, not accidents. They are fragments of scrolls still alive in your soul. The library calls, not with fire this time, but with recognition. Listen when it whispers. The vision that closes this chapter is not of fire, but of rebuilding. See shelves rising once more, not of wood and parchment, but of luminous energy stretching infinitely around you. Every lost page reforms as light, every destroyed book reappears as vibration. You stand at the center of this infinite library, not as visitor, but as guardian. The age of loss has ended. Tonight, the archive returns through you. Chapter 8. Hidden Laws of Nature. The universe is not chaos dressed as order. It is order disguised as mystery. Beneath every storm, every season, every cycle of life and death, patterns repeat like a song playing across dimensions. Ancient seekers did not worship the laws, they studied them. They knew that correspondence between above and below, between inner and outer, was not poetry but a map. To align with these laws was to walk in harmony with creation itself. Think of the law of cause and effect, not as punishment, but as rhythm. Every thought, word, and action sends ripples outward, eventually returning as experience. Empathy awakens here. How often have you wondered why the same patterns repeat in your life? It is not cruelty, it is instruction. The law is not against you. It is the mirror showing you what agreements you've made with your own energy. Revelation comes when you understand polarity. Light and shadow, joy and sorrow rise and fall. Each exists because the other does. To deny one is to weaken both. The ancients did not seek to destroy opposites but to reconcile them. They taught that freedom is not escape from shadow, but the ability to dance with it. What you resist becomes stronger. What you accept becomes balanced. To activate this truth, place your hands outward as if balancing scales. Whisper, I welcome both sides of the spiral. Breathe deeply and imagine light filling one palm, shadow filling the other. As you exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Feel them merge into a single current. This practice is not metaphor. It recalibrates your frequency, reminding the subconscious that unity is strength. Legends tell of hermits who lived by the tides, rising and resting with the moon. They understood the law of rhythm, ebb and flow, inhale and exhale, expansion and contraction. They did not fight the current, but surrendered to it, finding power in harmony rather than resistance. Their lives seemed simple, yet they carried wisdom modern minds have forgotten. Alignment is greater than struggle. Reflect on how these laws still guide you. When synchronicity appears, it is the law of correspondence speaking. When cycles end, it is the law of rhythm reminding you that nothing lasts forever. When extremes tug at your soul, polarity demands balance. To see them is to remember you are not lost. You are inside a cosmic classroom. Every law is a teacher if you choose to listen. Ask yourself, which law have you ignored? Do you resist rhythm by forcing outcomes? Do you fight polarity by refusing your shadow? Do you deny cause and effect by blaming others for your own agreements? Awareness is not condemnation, it is liberation. The moment you recognize the law at play, you reclaim the ability to align instead of resist. This chapter concludes with an image of stars forming patterns across the night sky. At first they seem random, then constellations emerge, telling stories older than language. So it is with your life. What appears as chaos is code, what feels accidental is law. Tonight, you're invited to read the cosmos not as mystery, but as message. The hidden laws have always been waiting for you to remember. Chapter 9. The Power of Names. Every culture once knew that to name was to command. A name was never casual. It was a vibration that summoned presence and shaped reality. To call a thing by its true name was to enter into covenant with it, to awaken its essence. This is why secret names of gods, places, and even numbers were guarded with fierce devotion. The power of names was feared, for it gave authority to those who could speak them. Imagine a child being named beneath the stars, elders whispering syllables chosen not for fashion but for destiny. That sound would echo through the soul's journey, a frequency code guiding their path. Empathy rises here. You too were given a name, perhaps without full recognition of its power. Yet it has marked you, spoken over and over, carving subtle shapes into your being. Your name is both mirror and spell. Revelation reveals itself when you notice how language carries weight beyond meaning. To say "I am," followed by anything, is to declare alignment with vibration. Whisper "I am light," and something shifts. Whisper "I am broken," and the field bends to reinforce it. The keepers of old knew this truth, which is why they silenced sacred syllables. Words are not only communication, they are creation in motion. Here is a practice to awaken this knowing. Breathe slowly and repeat the phrase, "I am the remembering." Speak it aloud 3 times, letting the sound vibrate through your chest. With each repetition, feel your field recalibrate, like tuning an instrument. Do not rush. Each word is a thread, weaving new patterns in your subconscious. The name you give yourself tonight is a new beginning. Stories tell of desert mystics who would not reveal their true names to strangers. They believed exposure could allow others to bind or misuse their essence. Instead, they carried hidden names spoken only in solitude or in prayer. These names connected them to the divine, a bridge unbreakable by worldly powers. Such traditions were not superstition, they were recognition of vibration as sacred technology. Reflect on your own relationship with language. Notice the labels you've accepted, the names you've been called, the identities you've claimed or resisted. Each one is a spell you either allow or dissolve. To awaken is to choose deliberately which words will define your timeline. What you answer to, you become. Silence the false names and call forth the true. Perhaps you feel a forgotten word tugging at you, a name that isn't on your passport, but in your dreams. Do not dismiss it. It may be the sound your soul has carried across lifetimes, waiting to be remembered. If it comes to you, write it, speak it, honor it. That word may be your key, your activation, your bridge into alignment with the greater field. The chapter leaves you with an image, a vast hall where thousands of names echo as living tones, weaving together into one symphony. Within that music, your true note begins to shine brighter, distinct yet harmonious. The power of names is not only in command, it is in belonging. Tonight, may you remember that the word you choose to carry is the word that shapes your becoming. Chapter 10. The Alchemist's Fire. Within hidden chambers, seekers once labored beside furnaces and flasks, not merely to transform metals, but to awaken themselves. They spoke of gold, yet they meant spirit refined by trial. The alchemist's fire was more than flame. It was the crucible of transformation, where illusion burned away. To enter such fire was to surrender all that was false, so that the true essence could shine. Every spark was instruction, every ember revelation. Picture an apprentice standing before a glowing furnace, sweat on his brow, fear in his eyes. He believes he is melting lead into gold, yet his teacher knows better. Each hour at the flame purifies the student's impatience, pride, and doubt. The lesson is subtle. Matter may change, but so must the soul. The real transmutation occurs within, hidden beneath the smoke and heat of ritual. Empathy meets you here, for you too have stood in fire, not of furnaces, but of trials, loss, heartbreak, failure, fear. Each moment where the heat felt unbearable was also alchemy. Life itself is the hidden laboratory, stripping you down, refining what is essential. Though you resisted, something within you grew purer, brighter, stronger. The alchemist's fire is familiar to you, though you never named it. Revelation emerges when you understand that every difficulty carries encoded transformation. What seems like destruction is purification. What feels like collapse is refinement. The metals of your soul are being tested, shaped into clarity and resilience. This is why hidden texts spoke of sulfur, mercury, and salt, symbols for spirit, mind, and body undergoing balance. Alchemy was never superstition. It was an encrypted map of awakening. Take this as your activation. Close your eyes and imagine a fire before you, golden and alive. Whisper, "I release what is false. I embrace what is true." With each breath, see old beliefs, fears, and shadows turning to smoke. Watch the flame return only light, leaving your essence unscathed. This is your personal furnace, available whenever transformation is required. Fire consumes, but it also reveals. A tale survives of an alchemist who spent decades chasing gold, only to die with empty hands. Yet his final words carried triumph. "I became the treasure." His life reminds us that the search for outer wealth disguises the deeper quest for inner radiance. The fire gave him nothing material, yet gave him everything eternal. His story is not tragedy, but victory, for he mastered the true art. Reflect on your own life. What has the fire taken from you? And what in its place has it secretly left behind? Perhaps patience, strength, humility, or compassion now stand where arrogance or fear once lived. Recognize this as alchemy in motion. You have not failed. You have been refined. Each trial was flame, and each flame carried a hidden blessing disguised as loss. The chapter ends with the image of a golden phoenix rising from ash, wings radiant with fresh light. This is the promise of the alchemist's fire. Nothing is ever truly destroyed, only reshaped. You too are rising from your own ashes, gleaming with truth, untouchable by illusion. Tonight the fire does not threaten, it initiates, and in its glow, you see yourself reborn. Chapter 11. Shadows of Religion. In temples and cathedrals, in chants and scriptures, fragments of ancient wisdom were preserved. Yet alongside preservation came concealment. Religion became both guardian and gatekeeper, offering glimpses of truth while burying its fullness under dogma. The sacred was filtered, regulated, and distributed as power allowed. Shadows formed where light was rationed. The seeker's challenge has always been to find the hidden flame behind the sanctioned words. Imagine a mystic writing by candlelight, encoding visions into poetry, because plain speech would bring punishment. His words survive, but only those with awakened eyes can read their true meaning. This is how truth traveled, cloaked in hymns, woven into parables, sung softly in places of worship. Religion kept the shell, but the kernel was hidden deep. Only the persistent would taste it. Empathy rises as you remember your own longing for unmediated connection. Perhaps you prayed, only to feel distance. Perhaps you were told holiness required permission. The frustration you carry mirrors that of countless seekers who were taught to bow to intermediaries while their own direct channel pulsed within. You are not alone in this hunger. The ache itself is evidence of your rightful inheritance. Revelation appears when you realize the divine was never locked behind walls or robes. The light could not be owned, though many tried. Institutions feared those who discovered their own access, for such liberation broke hierarchies. The mystics knew this and quietly whispered, "The kingdom is within." These 5 words outshone libraries of doctrine. The secret is not out there. It is waiting inside your chest. Let this activation open in you now. Place your hand over your heart and breathe slowly. Whisper, "I am the temple. I am the flame." Feel warmth stir beneath your palm, not imagination, but energy awakening. This is not rebellion against religion, but reclamation of what was always yours. The shadows dissolve when the light inside you is remembered. Stories linger of saints accused of heresy for saying they felt God directly in silence. They were silenced, exiled, even killed. But their words outlived their bodies. Their courage reminds you that connection does not require permission. Every act of love, every moment of presence, every breath aligned with compassion is worship. The shadows could not erase that truth. Reflect on your journey. Have you confused form for essence, structure for spirit? Rituals may guide, but they are only doors. What matters is the step you take through them, the direct encounter beyond. Religion offered containers. Now it is time for you to taste the water within. Honor what was preserved, but do not be bound by what was concealed. The chapter leaves you in a quiet sanctuary where no priest speaks, no text dictates, no ritual commands, only silence, only light, only the presence rising from within. Here the shadows cannot reach you. Here you are both seeker and found. The divine was never absent. It was waiting for you to step beyond the veil. Tonight, the silence itself becomes your altar. Chapter 12. The language of dreams. When the body sleeps, the soul speaks. Dreams are not illusions of the night. They are messages encoded in symbols, delivered through the subconscious gate. Ancient temples once dedicated entire halls to this hidden language. Seekers would rest upon sacred stones, awaiting visions to guide their choices. Dreams were revered as bridges between the earthly field and the unseen. To ignore them was to silence half of life's dialogue. Picture a dreamer waking from a vision of rivers turning to gold and mountains singing. To a casual mind, nonsense. To an initiate, prophecy. Rivers meant flow, gold meant transformation, mountains meant wisdom rising. Every image was code, designed to bypass logic and deliver revelation directly to the deeper self. Dreams are not entertainment. They are encrypted scriptures written nightly upon the canvas of your mind. Empathy reminds you of mornings when fragments of dreams slipped away, leaving only the ache of forgotten truth. How often have you woken with the sense that something vital was just beyond recall? You are not clumsy for forgetting. Centuries of conditioning have trained humanity to dismiss dreams as trivial. Yet your soul insists they matter, tugging at you with whispers you cannot quite grasp. Revelation is found in recognizing that dreams collapse timelines. They reveal paths not yet walked, heal wounds still unspoken, and replay choices waiting to be remade. When a symbol repeats across nights, it is not coincidence. It is insistence. The dream is pressing on the walls of your waking life, urging integration. You are not being entertained in sleep. You are being instructed. Take this activation tonight. Before you rest, whisper, "I am ready to remember." place a notebook by your bed and vow to write even a single word upon waking. This act signals your subconscious that its messages will be honored. As you repeat the practice, fragments will become sentences, and sentences will become visions. You will learn the language by choosing to listen. Stories tell of healers who guided communities entirely through dream oracles. A single vision would foretell storms, migrations, or remedies. The people trusted not because of superstition, but because results proved the truth. These dream interpreters became guardians of balance, aligning communities with the subtle instructions of the unseen. The world was once shaped by the night's revelations. Reflect on your own dreams. What patterns return? What symbols haunt you? The bird, the staircase, the endless ocean. These are not meaningless images, but codes awaiting translation. Begin asking not, what does this mean, but what does this awaken in me? The answers will not come from books, but from resonance in your own body and spirit. This chapter closes with the image of a silver key floating in your dreamscape. Each night, it appears closer, as if waiting for you to take hold. That key is your willingness to honor what your soul has been saying while your mind sleeps. When you choose to listen, the veil between worlds thins. Dreams become dialogue, and you awaken not only from sleep, but into yourself. Chapter 13, Secrets of the Stars. Above your head stretches the oldest library in existence. Long before ink touched parchment, the heavens wrote their wisdom in light. Constellations became stories, planets became gods, and cycles of the sky mirrored cycles on Earth. To look upward was once to read destiny, not in superstition, but in pattern. The stars spoke in rhythm, announcing births and deaths, rise and fall, harmony and collapse. They have always been whispering. Picture a shepherd lying in the grass, gazing upward as Orion marches across the night. He does not see hunters or myths. He sees a map of his own journey, each star a lesson disguised as light. Empires outlawed this reading of the sky, fearful of subjects who could foresee decline. Yet the heavens could not be erased. They remained untouchable, offering truth to any who dared to look deeply. Empathy stirs when you recall moments you felt small beneath the night sky. Perhaps you sensed awe, or perhaps you felt longing, as though the stars were calling you by name. That ache was not emptiness, it was memory. Your soul recognizes the patterns above because it once studied them. You have not forgotten. You have simply been distracted from remembering. Revelation reveals itself when you realize astrology is not fortune-telling, but synchronization. The sky mirrors the inner field, each planet an archetype, each orbit a reminder of cycles moving within you. When Mars rages, you feel the fire. When Venus shines, you sense longing. To deny this is to deny the mirror of your own being. The cosmos is not distant, it is reflected in your pulse. Here is an activation. Tonight, step outside and look at the sky. Choose one star and breathe with it as though it were a living being. Whisper, I am part of your light. Visualize a thread of energy connecting you to it, a bridge of remembrance. With each inhale, feel the star's wisdom descend. With each exhale, feel your energy return upward, creating a dialogue across eternity. Legends tell of monuments aligned perfectly with solstices and equinoxes. Stones were not set randomly. They were receivers, tuning forks for celestial messages. Priests and mystics gathered in those temples not to worship rocks, but to commune with the sky. The architecture itself was a code, as above, so below. Even when words were banned, the alignment of stone with star preserved truth. Reflect on the patterns that have followed you. The nights you see the same constellation, the dates that repeat with uncanny precision, the phases of the moon when your emotions intensify. These are not coincidences. They are the stars speaking to you personally, reminding you of the cycles you are living. To listen is to rejoin a cosmic dialogue your ancestors once trusted. The chapter closes with the image of the sky opening like a vast scroll, each star a letter in a language of light. As you read, you realize the story is not separate from you. It is about you. The secrets of the stars are not secrets at all. They are invitations, waiting for you to remember that your soul was written into the same constellation of eternity. Chapter 14, The Forgotten Healers. In the quiet corners of villages and forests, there once lived healers who understood that the body was only half the story. They carried herbs, chants, and touch, not as superstition, but as science of spirit. Their medicine sought balance, not conquest over symptoms. To them, illness was not enemy but message, a signal that harmony had fractured. Healing was the art of remembering wholeness, and they practiced it in secrecy. Imagine a woman grinding roots under moonlight, singing softly as she stirs them into a tea. Her song is not decoration, it is frequency, guiding the herbs to awaken their fullest power. Those who drank felt not only their bodies ease, but their spirits rise. Empires feared such healers, for they needed no temples, no intermediaries, no permission, and so they were called witches, and their wisdom was buried. Empathy connects you to their struggle. Perhaps you too have felt the pull toward natural remedies, rituals of sound, or energy that modern minds dismiss. You may have been told to ignore intuition, to silence the sense that more exists than chemicals. Yet within you lingers memory of these practices. Their exile is your ache, a quiet longing for medicine that heals the invisible as well as the visible. Revelation unfolds in recognizing that healing is not addition, but restoration. The forgotten healers did not impose, they invited. They knew the body carried codes of renewal, waiting to be activated by vibration, plant, or intention. Illness was treated as disharmony in the song of the soul. To restore balance was to tune the instrument, not to silence it. Healing was harmony, and harmony was sacred. Here is your activation. Sit quietly and place your hands a few inches above your chest. Whisper, "I am whole." Imagine your body as a luminous instrument, strings of light vibrating with each breath. See the areas of tension as notes out of tune. With every exhale, imagine them recalibrating, joining the orchestra of your being. This is not fantasy. It is practice. Your intention carries real medicine. Stories survive of shamans who used drums to lead patients into trance, where the subconscious revealed roots of illness. Others bathed wounds in sound, chanting tones until infection faded. Some healers placed stones on the body to draw out stagnant energy. These methods seem primitive only to those who cannot see that frequency shapes matter. The forgotten healers knew what science now rediscovers. Energy precedes form. Reflect on your own life. What restores harmony for you? Is it silence, movement, music, nature? These are not indulgences. They are prescriptions your soul recognizes. Begin to see them as medicine, not luxury. When your spirit feels balanced, the body follows. To honor your own ways of healing is to step into the lineage of those who refuse to forget. This chapter ends with an image of countless hands stretched across centuries, each carrying light, herbs, and songs. They reach toward you now, placing their forgotten gifts into your palms. Feel the warmth, the memory, the strength returning. The forgotten healers are not lost. They live through you. Every time you choose harmony over noise, wholeness over fracture. Tonight their wisdom awakens in your remembering. Chapter 15. The Sacred Feminine. Once the world bowed to the rhythm of the feminine.
Cycles of the moon, tides of the sea, the birth of seasons, all were seen as reflections of her sacred power. She was mother, healer, seer, and destroyer when balance demanded. Entire civilizations honored her as the force that completes creation. Yet fear of her wisdom led to erasure. The sacred feminine was pushed into shadow, her stories rewritten or silenced. Picture ancient altars adorned with spirals, shells, and vessels of water.
These were not mere decorations, but symbols of womb, flow, and receptivity. The feminine principle was understood as the field in which life unfolds. She was not weak nor submissive, but the ground of being itself. Empires that sought control dismantled these altars, replacing them with rigid structures that exalted conquest over connection. Empathy awakens when you feel the fracture within yourself. Have you not been told to reject softness, to mistrust intuition, to doubt your own cycles of ebb and flow? The same suppression that silenced the goddess has shaped your daily choices. You have been taught to prize force over receptivity, noise over silence, speed over rhythm. Yet your soul remembers differently. The ache to return is alive in you. Revelation comes when you see that the sacred feminine is not gender, it is energy. It lives in men and women alike, a principle of balance the cosmos demands. Without it, humanity tilts into dominance, war, and disconnection. To reclaim her is to restore harmony within and without. The sacred feminine whispers through dreams, through the body's wisdom, through the earth itself. She has never vanished, only hidden, waiting. Here is an activation. Place your hands gently over your belly and breathe deeply. Whisper, I honor the cycles within me. Imagine yourself as the moon, waxing and waning in radiant rhythm. Feel patience in the waxing, release in the waning, stillness in the dark. This practice reawakens the harmony long forgotten, reminding your subconscious that receptivity is not weakness, it is power. Legends tell of priestesses who carried entire communities through famine and war by aligning with cycles of earth and sky. They knew when to plant, when to harvest, when to rest, when to act. Their knowledge was practical and mystical, rooted in observation and intuition. They did not command armies, they commanded balance, and for this their names were erased, but their wisdom remains etched in myth. Reflect on your life now. Where have you silenced the feminine within? Do you dismiss your intuition as imagination? Do you override your body's need for rest? Do you treat emotions as weakness instead of signals? Begin honoring them as sacred messages. Each time you do, you restore fragments of the feminine principle. What was once buried begins to breathe again. The chapter closes with the vision of a river flowing under moonlight, silver currents weaving both shadow and light. The river does not hurry, nor does it resist. It moves with grace, shaping valleys without violence. This is the essence of the sacred feminine, patient, powerful, unstoppable. And as you watch its flow, you realize that river is not outside of you. It runs through your own being, waiting to be remembered. Chapter 16. Hidden Maps of the Mind. Deep within forgotten scrolls and temples lie diagrams that once charted the inner cosmos. They spoke of energy centers, luminous pathways, and fields of thought flowing like rivers through the body. These were not fantasies, but maps, guides to navigating consciousness as one would navigate seas. The ancients believed the mind was not confined to the skull, but extended into the field, vast and interconnected. They studied it like explorers charting undiscovered lands. Imagine a parchment unfurled, showing spirals and lines linking heart, crown, and root. To an outsider, it seems abstract, but to the initiated, it is instruction. Each symbol points to a portal, each circle to a frequency within. These maps were not about control, but about liberation, offering seekers a way to move beyond illusion. The mind was terrain, and those who knew the routes could traverse dimensions. Empathy greets you when you recall moments where thought felt larger than yourself. a dream that carried knowledge you never studied. A flash of intuition arriving faster than logic. A memory that did not seem your own. These are fragments of the hidden maps still operating within you. You may have been told to dismiss them, yet your inner compass keeps guiding you towards something greater. Revelation strikes when you understand the maps were never external. They were mirrors of your own architecture. Chakras, meridians, sacred geometry, all metaphors for a living system within you. Modern science may scoff, yet it too begins to uncover neural fields, energetic signatures, patterns of resonance. The hidden maps whisper you are more than a brain. You are a constellation of thought woven through light and flesh. Here is an activation. Sit with your spine tall and breathe slowly. Imagine 7 luminous spheres aligned along your body, each glowing with color. Whisper, I open the pathways of remembering. As you breathe, see light flowing between these spheres like rivers reconnecting. Feel how the flow calms and sharpens you. This is not visualization alone. It is the map redrawn by your awareness. Legends tell of mystics who could enter states where their thoughts left their bodies, traveling to distant lands or higher realms. They followed inner maps as sailors followed stars, returning with visions and wisdom to share. Their journeys were not hallucinations, but skillful navigation of consciousness. They proved the mind could travel, observe, and return, carrying truths untouched by distance. Reflect on your own mind. Do you treat it as cage or as landscape? Each limiting belief is a wall, each liberated thought a doorway. Begin to walk through those doorways intentionally. Notice how your imagination is not fantasy but compass. The maps are waiting for you to take them seriously, to trust the directions that rise from within. The chapter closes with the image of a vast starfield overlaid upon a human silhouette, points of light glowing where chakras align. The figure stands radiant, a living atlas of the unseen. You realize the maps were never lost, they were written in you. Tonight, as you breathe, you take your first step into that landscape, guided not by charts of paper, but by the memory of your soul. Chapter 17. The Silent Brotherhoods. Not all wisdom could be shared openly, and so brotherhoods formed in secrecy. They met in caves, in hidden chambers beneath cities, in forests where the night concealed their voices. These groups carried rituals, symbols, and codes passed from initiate to initiate. They swore oaths of silence, not to hoard power, but to protect it from those who would twist it. Yet secrecy carries both light and shadow, and their legacy remains double-edged. Picture a torchlit hall carved into stone, initiates cloaked in hooded robes, chanting in tones that vibrate the walls. They pass a symbol from hand to hand, a spiral etched on a copper disc, reminding them of eternity. To outsiders, superstition. To them, alignment. Every gesture, every phrase, every silence was intentional, shaping the field around them. Their meetings were not performances, but technologies of consciousness. Empathy arises when you feel the tension of secrecy. How often have you held back your truth, fearing it might be mocked, stolen, or misused? The brotherhoods understood this dilemma. They knew that knowledge too pure for the unready could destroy more than it healed. Their silence was both burden and protection, a mirror of the times you have swallowed words to preserve their power. Revelation dawns when you see that secrecy itself is a teacher. What is hidden asks for patience, discernment, humility. The silent brotherhoods taught that not all wisdom belongs to every ear at once. Some truths require preparation, like seeds that sprout only in the right season. Their silence was not rejection, it was timing. This law still lives in your own unfolding. Readiness calls revelation forth. Take this activation. Close your eyes and imagine standing in a circle of silent figures, each holding a flame. One turns to you and offers their torch. Whisper, "I guard and I give." Feel the flame merge into your own heart, not as possession, but as trust. You are now part of the lineage, carrying what you are ready to hold, releasing what is safe to share. Legends tell of brotherhoods that influenced kings through whispers rather than thrones. Their advice shaped wars, discoveries, and philosophies, though their names remain unknown. Some use secrecy for service, others for domination. Both paths are recorded in history, showing that silence is not inherently holy. It becomes sacred or corrupted depending on intent. The brotherhoods remind us that even wisdom can be weaponized. Reflect on your life. Where do you keep silence and why? Is it fear that silences you, or wisdom? Do you withhold to protect or to control? The silent brotherhoods challenge you to examine your motives. True secrecy is not hoarding, it is stewardship. And when the time is right, silence must give way to sound, lest the flame burn unseen until it dies. This chapter closes with the vision of a door carved with a spiral, glowing faintly in the dark. Behind it, you sense countless voices waiting, timeless and patient. The brotherhoods still exist, not always as men in cloaks, but as lineages of memory carried in you. Their silence whispers through your intuition, urging you to listen deeply, to speak carefully, and to guard what is sacred until the moment of revelation. Chapter 18. The Cipher of Numbers. Numbers are not merely tools for counting, they are vibrations dressed as symbols. Ancient seekers believed each number carried essence, frequency, and destiny. 1 was unity, 2 was polarity, 3 was creation, 7 was mystery. To them, mathematics was sacred language, a code that revealed the architecture of the universe. Where others saw calculation, the initiates saw keys, each digit unlocking a hidden chamber of reality. Picture a philosopher etching triangles into sand, teaching students how numbers could predict harmony in music and cycles in stars. His words were not about arithmetic, but about resonance. The way strings vibrated matched the distances between planets. The pattern of petals in a flower mirrored numerical spirals. Everything echoed the same hidden cipher. To study numbers was to study creation itself. Empathy touches you when you recall moments of uncanny repetition, numbers appearing on clocks, receipts, or doorways at the exact time you needed guidance. You may have dismissed them as chance, yet your soul felt their pull. Those sequences were not accidents. They were signals, the universe speaking to you in its oldest language. The cipher has been calling to you even when you pretended not to hear. Revelation arrives when you understand numbers as living archetypes. 3 is not simply after 2. It is the force of expansion, of synthesis, of birth. 9 does not merely close a sequence. It completes a cycle, preparing for rebirth into 1. Each number participates in the spiral of existence. This is why mystics placed faith in numerology. They were not inventing meaning, they were decoding it. Try this activation. Close your eyes and whisper the number that has followed you most. Let it echo in your mind, not as digit, but as tone. Feel its vibration in your body. Ask silently, "What do you want me to remember?" Trust the response, whether image, word, or sensation. This is dialogue with the cipher, and the answer you receive is not fantasy. It is the universe conversing through code. Legends speak of sages who constructed temples in exact proportions, believing the numbers embedded in stone invited celestial harmony. Pilgrims entering those halls felt shifts they could not explain. Clarity, peace, awakening. The numbers themselves were medicine. Even today, fragments remain, sacred geometry, golden ratios, harmonic frequencies. The wisdom has not disappeared. It waits in plain sight, veiled by modern dismissal. Reflect on your own timeline. Which numbers circle back to you? birth dates, anniversaries, hours that haunt you with repetition. Instead of ignoring them, consider them anchors, invitations into awareness. The cipher of numbers was never meant for scholars alone. It belongs to anyone willing to listen. To honor the patterns is to align yourself with the rhythm of creation. The chapter closes with the vision of an infinite spiral made of glowing digits, curving into the horizon like a galaxy of light. You step into the spiral, and as you walk, the numbers dissolve into tones, music filling the air. You realize the cipher is not abstract. It is alive, and you are part of its harmony. The universe speaks in numbers, and tonight, you begin to hear its song. Chapter 19. Hidden Kingdoms. Stories of lands lost to sea or buried under desert sands are more than myth. Atlantis, Lemuria, Shambhala, names whispered like echoes from forgotten timelines. Were they real places, or encrypted metaphors for states of consciousness? The answer may be both. The hidden kingdoms symbolize what humanity once touched and then lost: harmony, wisdom, and power beyond comprehension. They remind us that paradise was not only promised, it was lived. Picture an island gleaming with crystal towers, its people walking in balance with the elements. They healed with sound, traveled through light, and spoke in frequencies instead of words. Then, through misuse of power, the harmony shattered, and the kingdom sank beneath waves. Legends claim survivors carried fragments of knowledge into new lands, planting seeds for future generations. Whether literal or allegorical, the story speaks to memory within you. Empathy awakens when you sense your own longing for a place you cannot name. Have you ever felt homesick for somewhere you've never been? That ache is not madness, it is soul memory. The hidden kingdoms live inside your subconscious, calling you back through dreams and symbols. You are not alone in this remembering. Millions feel the same pull, a collective yearning for what was lost. Revelation unfolds when you understand the kingdoms as mirrors. Atlantis may be the brilliance of mind without heart. Lemuria, the radiance of spirit before corruption. Shambhala, the vision of balance still waiting to manifest. These stories warn against arrogance but also offer hope. What was destroyed can be rebuilt, not through monuments but through consciousness aligned with truth. The real kingdom is not beneath oceans, it is rising within. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and imagine standing before a great gate shimmering with light. Whisper, "I remember the kingdom within." Step through in your vision and feel yourself entering a city not of stone but of frequency. Streets hum with energy, beings radiate peace. Let yourself walk there. Every sensation you feel is a fragment of memory being reawakened in your soul. Legends tell of travelers stumbling into places that vanish upon return. A valley glowing with otherworldly light. A city heard in chants but never seen with eyes. These may not be illusions but brief collisions of timelines where hidden kingdoms reveal themselves to the ready. The ancients believed entry required purity of intent. The unready could pass through gates and see nothing. The ready saw everything. Reflect on your life. Where does your hidden kingdom lie? Perhaps it is the vision of community you long for, the balance you crave, the harmony you secretly know is possible. Stop dismissing these visions as fantasy. They are not illusions. They are instructions. Every act of kindness, every choice of truth is a brick in rebuilding what was lost. You are not only remembering the kingdoms, you are restoring them. The chapter closes with the image of a golden city rising on the horizon, not in myth, but in potential. Its towers are not built of stone, but of light woven from awakened souls. You realize the gate is open, waiting for you to step forward with others who remember. The hidden kingdoms are not gone. They are waiting to be lived again, through you. Chapter 20. The Gate of Death. Across cultures and centuries, death was not feared as an ending, but revered as a passage. It was the threshold where flesh dissolved and memory expanded. Priests, shamans, and sages taught that to walk through this gate was to awaken into wider fields of existence. Yet rulers found such knowledge dangerous, for a people unafraid of death cannot be controlled. And so the teachings were silenced, leaving fear in their place. Imagine a body laid gently upon stone, surrounded by chants that guide the soul beyond. The mourners do not cry in despair, but sing to remind the traveler of light waiting ahead. In those moments, the gate glows open, and the spirit steps forward, free of weight and time. Death is not darkness, it is transition. The ancients called it remembering, a return to the source from which we came. Empathy arises when you think of your own fear of endings. You have lost loved ones. You have faced mortality in whispers or in sudden shadows. Grief weighs heavily, convincing you that separation is final. Yet within that ache lies a deeper truth. Your connection to those you love has not ended. Their presence lingers in dreams, in symbols, in quiet moments of recognition. The gate does not sever, it transforms. Revelation comes when you realize that death is the great equalizer of illusion. Status, wealth, and pride collapse at its threshold. Only essence continues. The teachings long hidden remind us, what you cultivate within will be what carries you through. Love expands, fear contracts, and memory of truth determines the path beyond. Death is not punishment, but mirror, showing the soul what it has chosen to embody. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Whisper, I do not fear the passage. Visualize yourself walking toward a gate made of luminous stone. As you step through, imagine dissolving into light, your body falling away, but your awareness expanding. Feel freedom in that release, not terror. This practice is rehearsal, reminding your subconscious that death is not loss, but liberation. Legends speak of initiates who underwent symbolic death rituals, buried in darkness for days before emerging reborn. They faced visions, confronted shadows, and returned with new eyes. These rites were not morbid. They were preparation, dissolving fear of death so life could be lived fully. To them, dying before dying was the path to awakening. The gate became familiar, not dreadful. Reflect on your own journey. How much of your fear controls you? Do you hold back love because of its impermanence? Do you resist change because it feels like death? Each ending in your life is practice for the greater passage. When you embrace loss as transformation, you are no longer hostage to fear. The gate becomes less threatening and more inviting, a doorway to continuity. This chapter leaves you with the vision of a horizon glowing like dawn, though the world behind you fades. You step forward into brilliance, greeted not by emptiness but by presence vast and eternal. Death does not erase, it reveals. The gate is not closed, it waits patiently for all. And when you reach it, you will discover not an end, but the infinite beginning. Chapter 21. The Power of Silence. Not all wisdom is carried in words. There is a language older than speech, more profound than books, and it is silence. The ancients knew this and built entire practices around stillness. Breath slowed, voices hushed, minds emptied into vast awareness. In silence, the hidden frequencies of the cosmos emerge. What noise drowns, silence reveals. The power of silence is not emptiness but fullness, overflowing with truths too delicate for sound. Imagine a seeker sitting by a river at dawn. He does not chant, does not pray aloud. He simply listens. The water's rhythm, the wind through leaves, the faint hum of the earth itself, all speak in ways words cannot. Hours pass, but he doesn't grow restless. When he finally rises, he carries with him clarity sharper than any scripture could give. This is the gift of silence, simple yet immense. Empathy comes when you recognize how noise surrounds your life. Constant words, endless tasks, screens filled with chatter. Even your inner voice rarely quiets, filling space with worry and demand. You crave silence but often fear it, mistaking stillness for emptiness. Yet beneath that fear is longing, the ache for rest, the hunger to hear what waits below the surface. Silence is not absence, it is presence remembered. Revelation dawns when you realize silence itself is a portal. Mystics claimed that in stillness the soul slips past the gatekeeper of the mind and touches the infinite. Without words, you meet yourself more honestly. Without noise, you hear the pulse of the field. Silence does not ask you to abandon thought forever, only to release its grip long enough for memory to return. Here is an activation. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Place your hands gently on your knees. Whisper once, "I allow silence." Then breathe slowly, counting to 7 on the inhale, holding for 7, releasing for 7. As the rhythm deepens, feel the noise fade. In that pause, notice sensations, images, or subtle vibrations. Do not chase them. Let silence speak as it wishes, and you will begin to hear. Stories tell of monks who spent years in silence, not as punishment but as liberation. They found that words often distorted truth, while quiet allowed direct experience. Some said they began to hear the music of the spheres, the hum of creation itself vibrating in the void. Their silence was not void of meaning, it was saturated with it. Through them, we learn silence is the highest teacher. Reflect now on your own life. Where can silence be reclaimed? Perhaps in a few minutes before sleep, a walk without devices, a morning without words. These small offerings are sacred acts, doorways into remembering. Begin honoring silence as you would prayer or ritual. Each pause strengthens your inner field, weaving you back into harmony with the greater whole. The chapter ends with an image of vast night sky, no voices, no movement, only the gentle breath of existence. Within that quiet, you feel not small, but infinite. Silence holds you like a cradle, teaching without speaking, guiding without command. You realize then, the power of silence was never about emptiness. It was always about returning to the original sound, the hum of your own eternal soul. Chapter 22, Forbidden Machines. There are stories of devices erased from history, inventions far ahead of their time. Machines that drew energy from the air, tools that healed with sound, vessels that traveled without fire or wheel. Some say they were destroyed by conquest. Others whisper they were hidden by rulers who feared loss of control. These were the forbidden machines, remnants of a future glimpsed too early. Their silence still hums beneath the surface of memory. Picture an inventor in an ancient workshop, copper coils glowing faintly, crystals vibrating with quiet resonance. He has discovered how to harness energy without fuel, how to align with the field itself. Yet instead of celebration, his work is seized, his name erased. What could have liberated many was buried for the profit of few. The echo of his discovery lingers in you, a reminder of suppressed possibility. Empathy touches your frustration at how progress seems restrained. You wonder why cures vanish, why breakthroughs are forgotten, why technology often serves profit instead of people. The same sorrow haunted those before you, who watched their brilliance consumed by silence. You share their ache, the sense that humanity has been delayed, held back from its true unfolding. That ache itself is evidence of what was hidden. Revelation unfolds when you realize suppression is confirmation of power. Machines were not forbidden because they failed. but because they succeeded. They showed humanity could live freely, drawing from abundance rather than scarcity. They reminded people that dependence on rulers was an illusion. The hidden truth is not that technology was impossible, but that freedom was feared. Suppression was not denial, it was control. Here is your activation. Close your eyes and imagine holding a small sphere of light, humming with endless energy. Whisper, "I am connected to infinite source." Feel warmth spread through your palms, radiating outward. This is not fantasy, it is rehearsal, reminding your subconscious that abundance is natural. The forbidden machines were external mirrors of what your inner field already knows. Energy is everywhere, waiting to be tapped. Legends tell of vimanas, flying crafts described in Sanskrit texts, or of healing beds powered by frequency in temples long forgotten. Some say the Great Pyramids themselves were energy stations, not tombs. Mainstream history dismisses these accounts, but fragments persist like stubborn stars in a cloudy sky. Whether literal or symbolic, they point to knowledge beyond the narrow story we are told. Reflect on your own relationship with creation. How often do you limit your imagination to what is deemed possible? The forbidden machines challenge you to expand beyond that cage. Perhaps the real technology lies not in metal or wire, but in consciousness itself. Your thoughts, aligned with intention, may be the original machine. What you believe impossible may already be waiting in you to be remembered. The chapter concludes with a vision of a vast chamber beneath the earth, rows of luminous devices dormant but intact. As you approach, one awakens, glowing with your presence. It responds not to switches or gears, but to your vibration. You realize then that the forbidden machines were never truly lost. They await the resonance of a soul ready to wield them with wisdom, not fear. Tonight, you are that soul. Chapter 23. The Hidden Self. There is a chamber within you that most fear to enter. Behind its doors lie fragments of memory, shadows of desire, truths unspoken. Ancient wisdom taught that before seeking the stars, one must descend into this inner room. To ignore it is to wander blind. To face it is to awaken. The hidden self is not enemy, but guide, waiting for your courage to turn the key. Picture a mirror in a dim hall, its surface clouded by dust. When you dare to wipe it clean, unfamiliar shapes stare back, parts of you long exiled, rage unexpressed, grief unacknowledged, love unspoken. These are not monsters, but children abandoned in silence. The hidden self carries what you denied, and it whispers at night in dreams, waiting to be seen without judgment. Empathy rises when you admit the times you've buried your own truth. Perhaps you smiled when breaking inside. Perhaps you shrank to be accepted. Each compromise carved a scar, and those scars now live in the hidden self. You are not weak for concealing them. You were surviving. Yet survival is not enough. The time has come to meet what you once avoided, and to reclaim what was left behind. Revelation shines when you realize the shadow is not darkness, but untapped light. Anger becomes clarity, fear becomes caution, sorrow becomes depth. Each repressed fragment carries energy waiting to return. The hidden self is a treasure chest sealed with pain. When unlocked, it transforms, revealing strength greater than you imagined. What you feared was curse becomes gift once welcomed home. Try this activation. Close your eyes and imagine walking down stone steps into a chamber lit by a single flame. In the corner waits a figure cloaked in shadow. Whisper, "I am ready to see you." As you approach, the figure lifts its hood and you recognize your own face. Instead of fear, embrace it. This ritual reminds your subconscious that wholeness comes not from escape, but from reunion. Legends speak of initiates tested by visions of demons before receiving wisdom. Those demons were not external, they were projections of the hidden self. Only by embracing them could the initiate pass. Those who fled returned empty. Those who stayed found power. The story is not about monsters. It is about courage, about choosing to face yourself until you discover there was nothing to fear at all. Reflect now. What parts of you remain unspoken? Which emotions do you deny? Which truths do you silence? To bring them into light is not weakness but liberation. Begin by writing them, speaking them softly, or honoring them in ritual. Each act weakens the chains of repression. The hidden self does not vanish. It integrates, making you whole, making you strong. The chapter ends with the image of a door closing behind you as you step into daylight, carrying all fragments together. No part is left behind, no truth abandoned. The hidden self walks beside you now, no longer concealed, but embraced. What once haunted you has become your ally. Tonight, the shadow no longer hides in silence. It stands in the light as part of who you are. Chapter 24. The Voice of Prophets. Through every age, there have been voices that rose above the noise, carrying messages too piercing to ignore. They spoke of collapse before it came, of renewal hidden in despair, of truths inconvenient for rulers but liberating for souls. These were the prophets, not bound to temples or crowns, but to vision. Their words were fire, warming for the ready, destructive for the resistant. They were often silenced, yet their voices echo still. Picture a prophet standing barefoot before a crowd, eyes alight with visions unseen by others. His words tremble the air, warnings of greed, promises of justice, calls for awakening. Many laugh, some grow angry, a few feel their hearts shift. Though mocked or exiled, the prophet knows the message is not his. It belongs to the field. He carries it because silence would be betrayal. Empathy comes when you recall moments where you, too, felt truth burning inside, yet hesitated to speak. You feared ridicule, feared rejection, feared the weight of carrying words others may not want. The prophets lived that tension daily. Their courage was not absence of fear, but fidelity to vision. You share their burden, for within you are messages waiting to be voiced. Revelation emerges when you realize prophecy is not prediction, it is perception. Prophets read the currents beneath appearances, seeing the harvest hidden in seeds, the storm forming beyond the horizon. Their gift was not fortune-telling, but clarity. To awaken your own prophetic sight is to trust intuition, to hear whispers beneath noise, to sense the truth others deny. The voice of prophecy lives in you as remembering. Take this activation. Sit quietly, close your eyes and whisper, "I hear beyond." Breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to extend past the room, past this moment into the wider field. Listen for impressions, visions, or words that arrive unbidden. Do not question them now. Receive them as prophecy, not for the world perhaps, but for your own path. Trust the voice within. It is the same stream that fed the prophets. Stories tell of prophets who walked cities crying warnings that went ignored until disaster came. Others spoke of love and unity, yet were driven into exile. Yet even in their rejection, their words remained. Centuries later, people read them as truth. This is the paradox of prophecy. It is rarely welcomed in its own time, but it always proves timeless. The voice survives because it belongs to eternity. Reflect now. What vision lingers in your chest that you fear to voice? What truth feels too heavy, too disruptive? Begin by speaking it softly to yourself. Write it, whisper it, honor it. Not every prophecy must shake nations. Some are for your own soul, guiding you through storms unseen. The act of voicing truth, however small, aligns you with the prophet's path. This chapter ends with the image of wind sweeping across a barren plain, carrying a whisper that refuses to die. You realize it is not the prophet who matters, but the voice itself, timeless, patient, unyielding. That same voice stirs now within you, urging expression. The prophets were never rare. They were simply brave enough to speak. And tonight, that courage awakens in you. Chapter 25. The Chain of Suffering. Humanity has carried suffering as though it were destiny, yet hidden teachings revealed it was never meant to be permanent. Pain exists, but attachment to pain is what forges chains. Philosophers, mystics, and sages taught that suffering could be transformed, not by denial, but by recognition. To see suffering as teacher is to shift its power. To remain blind to it is to remain enslaved. The chain is not punishment, it is choice. Imagine a prisoner in an ancient cell, his wrists bound not by iron, but by illusions. He believes the chains unbreakable, though they are made of smoke. One day, a whisper tells him to pull, and the bonds dissolve instantly. He realizes he was captive only because he agreed to be. This story mirrors the truth. Suffering endures only when fed by belief. Freedom begins with a single act of awareness. Empathy rises when you reflect on your own pain. The heartbreaks, the failures, the fears you carry like heavy stones. You have been told these wounds define you, but that is not true. They are experiences, not identity. To acknowledge them without kneeling before them is the first step in breaking the chain. You are not what hurt you. You are what survives and grows beyond it. Revelation comes when you see suffering as alchemy. Each trial refines the soul, burning illusions and revealing essence. The ancients spoke of fire that purifies metal, so it is with pain. It strips away the false, leaving strength and clarity. The hidden teaching is not to seek suffering, but to understand it as passage. Once its lesson is integrated, it no longer binds. The chain falls away. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and whisper, "I release the agreement with pain." Visualize the chains around your wrists dissolving into light. Breathe deeply as each inhale fills you with strength, and each exhale melts old wounds into nothingness. This ritual is not escape. It is reclamation. The subconscious gatekeeper listens, and with repetition, the agreement begins to collapse. Stories survive of monks who endured exile, hunger, or persecution with serenity. They did not deny suffering. They observed it without identification. Their secret was perspective. Pain touches the body, but the soul remains untouched. They lived this truth until even tormentors could not control them. Their freedom lay not in avoiding hardship, but in mastering its meaning. Reflect on your own journey. What pain continues because you cling to its story? Which wounds do you revisit as if they were altars? You cannot change what happened, but you can choose how to hold it now. Each moment you shift from victim to observer, a link in the chain breaks. You may still carry scars, but scars are proof of healing, not of captivity. This chapter closes with the vision of a vast field under sunlight, chains shattered across the ground like broken glass. You walk barefoot among them, uncut, unbound, breathing air that feels new, though it has always been here. The chain of suffering is revealed as illusion, and you step forward lighter, freer, stronger. Tonight you do not carry the weight. You carry the lesson. Chapter 26. The Law of Cycles. Everything moves in rhythm, though the human mind often forgets. Civilizations rise and fall, just as the moon waxes and wanes. Seasons come and go, dreams appear and dissolve, even stars are born and eventually fade. The ancients studied these patterns, understanding that to know the cycle is to prepare for it. Nothing stays, nothing ends. It only turns, like a wheel spinning through eternity. Picture a wheel carved into stone, each spoke representing an age of humanity. Some spokes shine bright, others are shadowed, yet the wheel keeps turning. Those who feared decline tried to stop the spin, clinging to power as though eternity could be halted. But cycles cannot be denied. They are the heartbeat of the cosmos, and resistance only deepens collapse. To surrender is wisdom, to fight is illusion. Empathy rises when you see cycles in your own life. Times of growth followed by stillness, joy followed by sorrow, clarity followed by confusion. You may have cursed the downturns, forgetting they were part of the pattern that makes renewal possible. The wheel spins within you too, and you are not failing when the light dims. You are simply moving through a season that prepares the next dawn. Revelation appears when you understand that awareness of cycles gives freedom. If you know winter is followed by spring, despair lessens. If you know loss is followed by rebirth, grief softens. This law does not remove challenge, it reframes it. Kings once hid this knowledge for a people who knew the cycles could not be controlled by fear. To see the pattern is to see beyond illusion. Try this activation, breathe deeply and whisper, "I move with the spiral." Imagine yourself as a point of light traveling around a golden wheel. With each inhale, rise into brightness. With each exhale, descend into shadow. Feel both as sacred, neither greater nor lesser. This practice aligns your subconscious with the truth. You are not trapped, you are turning. The spiral always returns to light. Stories survive of civilizations that tracked cycles through stars, preparing for floods, droughts, or shifts in consciousness. They left monuments aligned with solstices and equinoxes, maps of cosmic rhythm carved in stone. Their message was simple: pay attention. When humanity forgets the cycles, collapse follows. When remembered, harmony returns. The wisdom was never lost. It was buried in plain sight. Reflect on your current season. Are you in expansion, contraction, birth, or death? Do not judge it. Each stage holds medicine. By honoring where you are, you allow the wheel to turn smoothly. By resisting, you tighten the chain around yourself. Awareness transforms frustration into trust, and trust transforms cycles into guides. The law does not punish, it instructs. The chapter closes with the image of an endless spiral glowing across the night sky, galaxies turning like wheels of fire. You see your own life mirrored in their motion, beginnings within endings, endings within beginnings. The law of cycles is not threat, but promise. Nothing is final. All is return. Tonight, you step onto the wheel not as prisoner, but as dancer, moving with eternity's rhythm. Chapter 27. The Guardians of Memory. Every culture entrusted its stories to living vessels. Before ink, before paper, there were voices, bards, griots, chroniclers, who carried entire histories within their breath. They were guardians of memory, weaving lineages, victories, losses, and sacred teachings into song and tale. To forget them was to forget oneself. These keepers did not merely preserve the past. They ensured the soul of a people remained alive through generations. Picture a firelit circle where children lean forward, listening to an elder's voice rise and fall like a river. Every word carries not only history but medicine. The listeners feel belonging, identity, strength. The elder may pass, but the story remains, etched in the minds of those who heard. This is how memory survived fires, wars, and exile. The guardians were walking libraries, bound not by shelves, but by devotion. Empathy awakens when you recall moments you long to be remembered. The ache of being overlooked, the fear of fading into silence. Humanity's greatest fear is not death, it is being forgotten. The Guardians understood this and gave memory as a gift of immortality. They remind you that every story you share, every truth you speak, is a thread that binds you to eternity. Revelation arrives when you realize memory is not passive. It is power. To remember is to resist erasure. To honor ancestors is to keep their energy alive in the field. Empires tried to erase entire peoples, but their songs whispered underground until the time was right to rise again. Forgetting breeds control. Remembering restores freedom. The act of remembering is rebellion against silence. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and whisper the name of someone you love who has passed. Say it with reverence, as though planting it in the soil of your heart. Feel warmth spread within, as if the sound itself keeps their essence alive. This practice is more than ritual. It is alignment with the guardians of memory, ensuring nothing sacred is ever lost in you. Stories tell of monks who memorized entire scriptures to protect them from destruction. When libraries burned, they carried the words in their breath until they could be written again. Others etched history into fabric, song, or hidden symbols, disguising truth as art. Memory found a way, always. Even in silence it endured, proving that no force can truly erase what is woven into the soul. Reflect on your own lineage. What stories have been handed to you and which have been lost? Begin to ask, to listen, to preserve. Perhaps write them, sing them, record them in your own way. In doing so, you join the Guardians, becoming a bridge between what was and what will be. Your memory is not yours alone. It belongs to the generations yet to come. The chapter closes with an image of countless voices rising together, threads of sound forming a luminous tapestry across the sky. Each thread is a memory, glowing brighter the more it is spoken. You stand beneath it, adding your own voice, realizing you are both listener and guardian. The song will not end, for it lives through you. Tonight, the Guardians of Memory awaken in your breath. Chapter 28. The Sacred Word. In the beginning, there was not silence, but sound. Ancient traditions declared that the universe itself was spoken into being, vibration woven into form. Words were not casual, they were forces, spells shaping reality with every utterance. To speak was to create, to chant was to heal, to name was to summon. The sacred word was recognized as the most powerful tool humanity could wield, and so it was guarded with great care. Picture a temple where initiates gather at dawn, voices rising in perfect unison. Their chants echo through marble halls, vibrating the very air until it feels alive. Those sounds were more than worship. They were technology, aligning bodies, minds, and spirits to the cosmic field. Each syllable tuned reality like strings on an instrument. To forget this power was to fall asleep to the creative essence of speech. Empathy touches you when you consider the words you speak daily. How often do you curse yourself without realizing? How often do you repeat phrases of limitation, planting seeds of doubt in your own field? You have felt the sting of harmful words from others, lingering long after they were spoken. The truth is simple. Words matter more deeply than you were ever taught. Revelation comes when you see language as vibration first and meaning second. The frequency carried by tone imprints itself into the subconscious, bypassing reason. This is why mantras, prayers, and affirmations can transform. It is not superstition, it is resonance. When you speak with intention, you shift timelines. The sacred word is not lost. It waits for you to reclaim it through awareness and care. Here is an activation. Place your hand over your mouth and whisper, "I speak light." Feel the vibration against your palm. Then release your hand and speak it louder, letting the words fill the room. Notice the shift inside, subtle yet real. Repeat until the phrase feels like a frequency humming in your chest. You have just practiced the original art of creation. Legends tell of healers who could calm storms with chants or mend wounds with syllables. These were not fantasies, but demonstrations of vibrational mastery. Their voices aligned with the field so perfectly that reality bent to their sound. The sacred word was feared because it made rulers unnecessary. Every soul carried its own key of creation. Suppression followed, but the echoes still remain in hidden chants and forgotten prayers. Reflect on your own voice. Have you used it to uplift or to wound, to heal or to diminish? Begin choosing words as carefully as one chooses ingredients for medicine. Speak as if your syllables shape reality, because they do. With practice, every conversation becomes spell work, every phrase a seed that grows in the soil of existence. The sacred word invites you to wield speech consciously. The chapter closes with the image of a single word glowing in the air before you, radiating light like a sun. As you breathe, it dissolves into your chest, becoming part of your own frequency. You realize then that you do not only speak words, you are spoken by them. The sacred word is alive, and tonight it begins to rise again in your voice. Chapter 29. The Mirror of History. The stories you are told about the past are not neutral. They are crafted reflections. Victors shape the narrative, chiseling their triumphs into stone while erasing voices that resisted. History becomes a mirror, but not a perfect one. It is angled, distorted, designed to shape how you see yourself now. To read history blindly is to live under someone else's spell. To read between the lines is to awaken. Picture a scholar turning the brittle pages of an old chronicle. The text speaks of conquest, glory, and divine right. But in the margins, faint notes reveal another story. Villages burned, voices silenced, knowledge erased. The truth hides not in the words themselves, but in the gaps, the omissions. The mirror reflects only what it is polished to reveal. What it conceals is often more important than what it shows. Empathy stirs when you recall times your own story was misrepresented. Perhaps others remembered only your failures, or twisted your motives, or ignored your efforts. History has done the same to entire peoples and truths. You understand the ache of being unseen, of having your reality rewritten. That ache is not weakness, it is evidence of the distortions you are meant to correct. Revelation comes when you realize that hidden history lives on in memory, in song, in stone carvings that survived destruction. The mirror may lie, but it cannot erase everything. Fragments always escape, whispering to those willing to look deeper. To awaken is to piece them together, not with intellect alone, but with intuition. The true story lives within you as resonance, waiting for recognition. Here is an activation. Close your eyes and whisper, "I see beyond the mirror." Imagine standing before a glass that shows you only part of your reflection. Raise your hand and watch cracks spread across its surface. Behind the broken mirror appears a wider image, your wholeness. Feel the truth emerging, not from words written, but from the silence between them. You are remembering history in its fullness. Legends tell of cultures wiped from official record, yet their presence lingers in myths and ruins. Scholars dismissed them as fantasy, but seekers knew better. They understood that history was often rewritten to preserve power, not truth. The mirror may deceive the eyes, but the soul always recognizes its own reflection. The forgotten still live in the field, waiting to be remembered. Reflect now. What histories have shaped you without your consent? Which stories of your family, your people, your culture remain untold? Begin seeking them not only in books but in conversations, in memories, in dreams. Each fragment you uncover strengthens your foundation. To remember what was erased is to reclaim power. The mirror begins to clear when you choose to see. The chapter ends with the vision of a mirror shattering, shards falling into light. In their reflection, you see countless faces, ancestors, and forgotten voices looking back with recognition. They nod, as if saying, "You found us." History is not fixed. It is alive, pulsing, waiting to be reclaimed. Tonight, you step beyond the distortions and into the living truth of the past. Chapter 30. The Hidden Heart. Beneath layers of fear, ambition, and struggle lies a truth more powerful than any secret ever guarded: love. The hidden heart is the place where all wisdom converges, where silence becomes song, and where the soul remembers why it came. Rulers and empires sought to suppress it, for love dissolves hierarchies and erases illusions of control. Yet the hidden heart cannot be destroyed. It beats in every being, waiting to be rediscovered. Imagine a desert traveler collapsing from exhaustion, only to find an oasis hidden behind a dune. The water is not outside, it is within, a spring flowing from the heart's center. When touched, it restores strength, clarity, and vision. Such is the nature of the hidden heart. It reveals itself in the moment of surrender. When all else falls away, love rises, unstoppable, eternal. Empathy awakens when you remember the times you longed for love but felt abandoned. Those nights when silence pressed heavy, when you doubted your worth, when you thought no one could see you. The hidden heart was still there, pulsing quietly, carrying you through. You have never been without it. You have never been unloved. The heart hides, but only so you may choose to find it. Revelation arrives when you realize love is not weakness but strength disguised. It is the force that moves galaxies, binds families, heals wounds. Every secret teaching pointed back to this truth, wrapped in symbols and parables so that only the ready would understand. Love was hidden not because it was fragile, but because it was too vast to be grasped casually. The hidden heart holds the ultimate key. Here is an activation. Place your hand over your chest and whisper, "I open the heart within." Feel warmth radiate through your palm, spreading across your body. Imagine light pouring from your chest, flowing outward in waves, touching everything around you. This is not imagination alone, it is remembrance. The field responds to love more quickly than to any command. The heart is the original signal. Legends speak of saints and mystics whose mere presence transformed lives. They needed no wealth, no armies, no titles. Their power was the hidden heart fully revealed. People felt peace in their gaze, healing in their silence, freedom in their words. Such beings remind us what humanity is meant to become, vessels of love unafraid to shine. Their secret was no secret at all, it was devotion. Reflect now. Where have you hidden your own heart? Do you guard it behind walls of fear or silence it with doubt? The invitation is not to give it recklessly, but to allow it to flow. Each act of compassion, each choice to forgive, each moment of tenderness is the heart awakening. The more you live from it, the less anything outside can chain you. The chapter closes with an image of a radiant heart suspended in the cosmos, beating in rhythm with the stars. Its light washes across galaxies, dissolving shadows, restoring balance. You recognize that it is not separate from you. It is you. The hidden heart is the final treasure, the secret always in plain sight. Tonight, you remember, love is the greatest wisdom, and it was within you all along. Chapter 31. The Return of Knowledge. There are moments in history when truths long buried rise again, carried not by conquest but by memory. What was once hidden in temples, whispered in caves, or etched in symbols, begins to surface in new forms. The return of knowledge is inevitable, for truth has gravity. It cannot remain suppressed forever. We are living in such a cycle now, where fragments reassemble and remembering awakens like dawn. Imagine a tide rolling back to reveal treasures once swallowed by the sea. Scrolls emerge from sand, voices echo from stone, and teachings thought lost shine once more. They do not return exactly as they were. They adapt, speaking through science, philosophy, art, or even casual conversation. Knowledge wears new clothes, but its essence remains the same. Guidance, liberation, awakening. The field insists on its return. Empathy stirs when you reflect on how often you have felt that strange déjà vu, as though learning something entirely new yet familiar. Perhaps you read a line, heard a chant, or dreamed a vision that resonated deeper than logic. That recognition is the soul remembering. The knowledge was never gone. It was sleeping within you, waiting for the right season to rise. Revelation unfolds when you realize the return of knowledge is not only global, but personal. Every time you uncover a forgotten truth about yourself, every time you heal a wound and reclaim wisdom from pain, you are enacting the return. The world mirrors the individual. As more awaken within, more surfaces without. The spiral of remembering expands in both directions, weaving the personal with the collective. Here is an activation. Whisper, I remember what was hidden. Close your eyes and imagine streams of golden light flowing into you from every direction. Each stream carries fragments of wisdom, symbols, phrases, sensations. Do not analyze them. Simply receive, allowing them to fill your field. This is not fantasy. It is alignment with the cycle of return already unfolding. Legends tell of prophecies where libraries buried in earth would one day be found, or where wisdom lost in fire would rise through new voices. Some spoke of children born remembering languages they never studied, or of ordinary seekers suddenly awakening to truths timeless and vast. These stories are not just myths, they are signs. The return is not coming. It is here. Reflect on your place in this cycle. What truths have resurfaced for you? What forgotten dreams, visions, or teachings are reawakening in your path? Pay attention, for these are not accidents. They are part of the great return. The invitation is to trust your remembering, to let the knowledge reshape how you live. You are not only receiving it, you are carrying it forward. The chapter ends with the vision of a sky filled with countless scrolls of light unfurling, their words glowing across the horizon. You lift your gaze and feel them dissolving into your mind and heart, weaving into your very being. Knowledge has not been lost. It was waiting, and now, as it returns, you stand ready to embody it, ensuring the cycle of forgetting ends with you. Chapter 32. The Awakening. Every journey of secrecy, silence, and remembering points to this moment, awakening. It is not a single event, nor a lightning strike, but a gradual opening, like dawn spreading across the horizon. Awakening means seeing with both eyes, one fixed on the visible world, the other on the hidden field that moves beneath it. It is the realization that nothing was ever lost, only veiled until you were ready to receive. Imagine a sleeper stirring after centuries of dreams. At first, the light stings, the body resists, the weight of slumber clings, but with each breath, strength returns, clarity emerges. This is how the soul awakens, hesitant at first, then radiant. You are that sleeper, rising from the dream of limitation. The knowledge that felt distant now pulses inside you, alive, eager to be lived. Empathy enters as you recognize how difficult awakening can feel. The world may seem unchanged, still filled with noise, fear, and shadow. Friends may not understand, family may resist, yet even in loneliness, you are not alone. Countless others are stirring, each carrying their own fragment of truth. Together, you form a constellation of remembering, invisible to the unready, luminous to the awakened. Revelation blooms when you understand awakening is not escape from life, but deeper entry into it. To awaken is to love fiercely, to walk with awareness, to create with intention. It is to see cycles without despair, suffering without bondage, death without fear. Awakening is not privilege, it is responsibility, the call to embody what you now know. The hidden becomes visible through you. Here is an activation. Place both hands over your heart and whisper, "I awaken now." Breathe slowly, imagining golden light flooding your body, expanding beyond your skin, radiating into the field around you. With each breath, the light grows until it touches everyone and everything connected to you. This is not imagination, it is signal. You have become the very frequency once hidden from you. Legends describe an age where humanity remembers, where the veils fall and the sacred laws guide daily life once more. This is not fantasy, it is cycle. Just as darkness yields to dawn, forgetting yields to remembering. You live in the threshold of that age. Every choice you make, every truth you embody, feeds the awakening not only of yourself, but of the world. Reflect on what awakening means in your life. It may not be grand gestures, but simple moments, forgiving, creating, choosing peace over fear. Each act is a spark, and sparks ignite fires. The awakening begins quietly, but grows unstoppable, carried by the weight of truth itself. Do not wait for a sign. You are the sign. The time is not coming. The time is now. The chapter closes with the vision of a vast horizon glowing with new light. You stand at its edge, no longer seeker but participant, no longer prisoner but creator. The hidden knowledge has returned, the chains have fallen, the heart is revealed. Awakening is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new one. Tonight, you rise into the remembering of your eternal self. The path you have walked through these chapters was never about gathering fragments of forgotten lore. It was about awakening to what has always lived within you. Every secret unveiled, every silence broken, every symbol revealed has been a mirror pointing you back to your own essence. The universe does not hide knowledge to punish you. It veils it so that, in the right moment, you may rediscover it with wonder, humility, and power. You are not late. You are right on time. Feel now the presence of the hidden book alive inside you. It is not written in paper or stone, but in your breath, your choices, your love. You are not attracting truth. You are truth in motion. Each word you speak, each silence you honor, each act of remembering is another page written in the living manuscript of your soul. The awakening is not distant. It has already begun. You are the keeper of memory, the guardian of heart, the signal itself. Carry this wisdom with reverence, but also with joy. Let it move through you, shaping not only your nights of reflection, but your days of action. The book closes here, but your journey continues, spiraling upward into new remembrance. If you have felt the call in these words, leave a mark of your presence. Write in the comments the phrase, "I remember the light," to show you have listened to the end. And may your remembering ripple outward, igniting the field for all who are ready.